everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video, and today we're going to be doing my new Batman timeline. Now, as some of you guys may or may not know, I do Batman timelines a lot. Actually, I think I have 3 up until this point before this video. I do timelines for other characters too. And what I do in my timelines is I take all my Batman graphic novels and trades and lay them down flat in exact chronological order, showing you what stories take place where, and what order the stories take place. Now, the reason why I do so many Batman timelines is because, well, I'm always getting new Batman stories, so I'm always adding to the timeline. So I always have to constantly update them for you guys to see newer, updated, better timelines. Now, at this very point that this video is being recorded and put on the internet, I have all the Batman trades in continuity, at least to my knowledge. So, for the most part, at least until a new Batman trade comes out, this is a complete Batman timeline. Now, like I said, there's always going to be new Batman comics, so I'm always going to be doing newer and newer Batman timelines. But at this point, for you guys, this is a definitive Batman timeline. Now, there is rules to this Batman timeline, however. Rules? What do you mean, rules, Andrew? What? Some Batman stories are kind of, well, shady where they belong in the timeline. Stories such as Batman Dark Detective, Tophany, Monsters, or Anarchy can take place at different points in the timeline. So with certain stories such as those, I try the best I can to give you where those stories take place. Now when I come to certain stories, let's take for example Dark Detective, I'll put them next to their predecessor, or where they best fit in the Batman timeline, trying to piece together, certain events Batman have in his life and why they would come before this, or why they would come after that. These stories are few and far in between, but they do exist. And I will point them out when I come to them. So just to let you know, as much as this is a complete Batman timeline, it's not perfect. Well, there will never be a perfect Batman timeline. There'll always be Batman stories which are kind of, where do they belong? Some stories are just not that definitive. But, hopefully, I'm helping you guys, give you guys, for the most part, the closest thing to a perfect Batman timeline. So I've been kind of rambling on for a while now. Don't you want to see the timeline? Let's get to it. Okay, here is the timeline in its entirety. I hope this isn't intimidating anyone. There is a lot of Batman trades and graphic novels because, well, he is Batman. Now, in this timeline video, I hope that you guys can see the graphic novels. I do have plastic coverings to protect my comics, and I hope it doesn't cause too much glare. In addition to that, I'm not going to go into too much detail on exactly what year Batman is in at that point and how old he is. I am going to point out some key points like his first year, his second, his third, and up until his 10th year, which is considered no man's land. It's generally, the reason why is because there's so many interpretations on exactly how long Batman's been working and how old he is. It's generally considered Batman's been doing what he's been doing for the past 13 to 15 years, and he's around the age of 37. Dick Grayson's around the age of 25 to 27, and Tim Drake's around the age of 16 to 17. So I hope that guys give you kind of a general area. It's kind of a floating age, floating career, you get what I mean, is that it doesn't really go by that much on time, it just is what it is. So with that said, let's start things off, and that would be with Batman Year 1. From there we go to Batman Shaman. After that is Batman and the Monster Man. There we go to Batman and the Mad Monk. And then Batman Prey. After that is Batman, the Man Who Laughs. And then Batman Gothic. From there we go to Batman Venom. Batman Four of the Kind is the next. After that is Batman Collected Legends of the Dark Knight. After that is Batman Other Realms and Batman Snow. Now, I would like to stop here and point out that from everything from Batman Year 1 to about where Batman Snow is, and it's roughly considered Batman's first year of his career. Now, Batman Snow actually takes place during Long Halloween at some point in the miscellaneous weeks of Long Halloween that they don't take in consideration. But from that point backwards is Batman's first year of his career, roughly. Now, Long Halloween starts the second year of his career, for the most part. And from there we got Long Halloween, Dark Victory, and Haunted Nights, which transition into Batman's third year with Batman Faces, Terror, and then we go to Batman Monsters, which is one of those graphic novels that I pointed out, which could take place almost anywhere. Now, Batman Monsters, I do know takes place early on in Batman's career, but not quite in Batman's first year of his career. So, I put it right here because, well, he hasn't got the Batwing yet, and Gordon's not Commissioner yet, and it really doesn't conflict with anything putting it right here. Now, again, as long as you put it early on in Batman's career, you could really technically put it anywhere, but I feel as though it fits best here. Again, it could go anywhere, so it's really up to you, but this is one of those stories. Now, the next two stories are Batman, Rules of Engagement, and Fortunate Son. Now, Rules of Engagement fits here because it is the first time we see the Batwing, the Batman's plane, and then Fortunate Son takes place afterwards because, well, Gordon's not a Commissioner yet, Robin is there, and we see the Batwing, so it has to take place after Rules of Engagement. It's worth noting that Fortunate Son was actually done up before Rules of Engagement. They probably didn't take into consideration stuff like the Batwing, but for sake of continuity, these two come next. So, Rules of Engagement, and then Fortunate Son. After that is Batman Night Cries, which is where Gordon becomes Commissioner. Batman Cat in the Bat, which is around the fourth year of Batman's career, because, well, we're talking about Justice League in this. Justice League is mentioned, and that's roughly around the fourth year of the superhero age. The Silver Age superheroes. Then we have Batman King Tut's Tomb, and then we have Batman Tales of the Demon, the introduction of Ra's al Ghul. From there we have Batman Strange Apparitions. And after that is Batman Dark Detective, its sequel. Now let me talk about Dark Detective for a second. This is again one of the stories that could take place anywhere. Now it is the sequel to Strange Apparitions, and well, it doesn't really conflict with anything putting it right after Strange Apparitions, but this could take place any time before No Man's Land, and I would even dare say before Jason Todd becomes Robin. Now I'm putting it here because, well, it is the sequel of this, and it doesn't conflict too much with anything by putting it here. Also, it's worth noting that Strange Apparitions, The Dark Detective, is around the 5th to 6th, even possibly 7th year of Batman's career, and this is where we stop having Dick Grayson as Batman. So, moving on, going on to the second column, the second row, we'll start around Batman's 7th year of his career, which would be Batman, The Man Who Laughs, where Joker shoots Commissioner Gordon's daughter, the first Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, and Batman has his little tussle with Joker. Now, the next three stories are Batman, 10 Nights at the Beast, The Cult, and Death in the Family, which are all stories that have Jason Todd in it, and the only three trades that have Jason Todd in it as Robin. From there, we're moving on to roughly around the 8th to 9th year of Batman's career, and that would be Batman, A Lonely Place of Dying, the introduction of Tim Drake as Robin. We then get Batman Blind Justice. After that, we start what I call is the two-man power trip. Dennis O'Neil and Chuck Dixon working together on the Batman titles to bring you the start with Sword of Azrael. Then we go on to Knightfall's Part 1, 2, and 3. After that is Knightfall's sequel, Prodigal. Now, Anarchy is a story that parts of it take place before Batman Knightfall, even before A Lonely Place of Dying, but the majority takes place after Batman Prodigal. So, I'm going to put it here just for the sake of saking. Again, this could be placed in two different places. And in addition to that, Batman the Chalice is a story that could take place, well, anywhere around this time, but I'm putting it right here because, well, Azrael is Azrael again, so it's obviously after Knightfall. And this is the first time Batman has come into confrontation with Ra's al Ghul since his early adventures in Tales of the Demon. So it takes place before Contagion Legacy. It fits nicely here, so I'm keeping it there. And then we have Batman Contagion, Batman Legacy, which kind of ends the Dennis O'Neil, Chuck Dixon two-man power trip with Batman. Some of the best Batman stories. Next we do Batman Cataclysm, which goes into Batman No Man's Land. Now this is the last time I'm going to point out Batman career years. This is the 10th year of Batman's career, as Commissioner Gordon states, as we've been working together for 10 years. So there's 5 volumes in Batman's No Man's Land, including its prequel, the Cataclysm, the Prelude. Next is Batman Evolution, which starts the New Gotham era. Then Batman Officer Down, Batman Bruce Wayne Murderer, ? Batman Bruce Wayne Fugitives, Volume 1, 2, and 3. Let's get up here and move down. Next is Batman Hush. And from there we go to Batman Death and the Maidens, the death of Ra's al Ghul. I know, it's sad. But I have a strange feeling he's going to be coming back. No? Yeah. Moving on is Batman Broken City. After that is Batman As the Crows Fly. We then go into Batman War Drums, which is the prelude to the War Games series, Volume 1, 2, and 3. From that we go to Batman Hush Returns. After that is Batman City of Crime. We then go to Batman Under the Hood, Volume 1 and 2. And then, finally, the last Batman story before the Infinite Crisis, which would be War Crimes. Now, from that, we move on to the 1 year later story, Batman Face to Face. After that is Paul Dini's work with Batman Detective and Death in the City. Now, here's Batman Cacophony. Now, Cacophony could take place, well, a lot of different places. It could take place before Batman Detective and Death in the City, and it could take place any time between this and up until Batman is done. I want to place it right here because I feel as though it's comfortable there, but again, this is a story that can take place anywhere. However, it is in continuity. We know that because references made to stuff like JLA, Rock of Ages, and various other Batman stories, so we do know it's in continuity, just where we're not sure. At times, I'm not even sure if it takes place during the 1 year latest, but for the sake of the timeline, we're going to stick this bad boy right here. Next, we're going to do is Batman Gotham Underground. After that, we start Grant Morrison's run on Batman with Batman and Son. We then move to the Batman Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul. Batman and the Black Glove. We have some Paul Dini in here with Batman Private Casebook and Batman Heart of Hush. And finally, the last trade up until this point with Bruce Wayne as Batman, which would be Batman R.I.P. Next would be Batman Whatever Happened to the Caped Crusader. Now, someone sent me a link to a very interesting Grant Morrison interview where Grant Morrison says that, well, he never intended Whatever Happened to the Caped Crusader to be in continuity. However, he also stated that it's such a good interpretation of Batman and that it could take place at any time. It could even take place after Batman knocked down the helicopter and R.I.P. and he could have just blacked out and had a near-death experience with this. With something like this that never actually takes place in real time and is really a near-death experience, it could still take place in continuity. A lot of references is made to characters that are in continuity, so I'm going to keep it in my timeline because I paid the fucking $24 for it. So, for me, it's staying there. Again, you can have it in or you cannot have it in. But if you do place it, it should go in between R.I.P. and Battle for the Cowl. Next is Batman Battle for the Cowl and its companion. This is the transition from Bruce to Dick being Batman. Finally, we have Long Shadows, which is really where Dick Grayson starts to take up the role of Batman in the first week or so before he teams up with the new Robin, Damian Wayne. We then get into Batman Reborn, Batman and Robin, Volume 1. And then finally, the last is Batman Streets of Gotham, Hush Money, which I believe takes place sometime after, or at least during, Volume 1 of Batman and Robin. So, that is the timeline in its entirety. Now, just to point you out, the Infinite Crisis, or no, the Crisis of Infinite Earth, where it takes place in the timeline, would be sometime after Batman Dark Detective, and sometimes before, or no, after Batman the Man Who Laughs. I apologize. So sometime after Batman Dark Detective and before Batman the Man Who Laughs. I apologize for that little mess up in words. But there is the timeline in its entirety. I hope that's helpful for you. Again, it's not perfect, but then again, what is? So, with that said, we're going to end this video. I'm going to do a little wrap-up, and then we'll call it quits. So, be right back. So, that was the Batman timeline. I hope that was helpful for you guys. Again, some of the new Batman Reborn stuff is a little tricky on exactly where to place it. And there's also some miscellaneous stories like Dark Detective, or Batman Monsters, or Toffany, which could be placed almost anywhere. But with that said, that's mostly the Batman timeline. I hope that was helpful for you guys. I will continue to do Batman timelines and update them. Usually when I get 5 new Batman trades, I'll consider doing a new Batman timeline. So, with that said, that is my revised Batman timeline. This is Andrew saying peace out for now.